This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
Well, hello, friends, and welcome back to CWK Live every Monday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm Dan Zer, thrilled to be talking Star Wars with each and every one of you, and it looks like the notifications worked today. I remember last week when we started, people weren't getting notifications that the show started, so hopefully all is well now. So let's welcome our friends. Minta is here. This is the way it's CWK Day. Hello, Minta. Good to have you on the show. Ross with a sage tweet. No one's ever truly gone. Hi, friends. Well, hello, Ross. Good to see you back on the show, my friend. Not a tweet, but a Facebook comment. Mary is here. Happy Monday to you, my friend. And Jason is here as well. Hello there. Jamie is here. How awesome. He says, happy CWK Day. Have missed a few shows. Visiting colleges with my son for the fall of 23. Wow. Keeping up with Rebels, but on the road back from New York City tonight. So I'm listening to everyone's top 5 and we'll have to share my list later. Jamie, that is terrific. It is so good to have you back here, my friend. We've certainly missed you. Definitely safe travels for sure. Brian is here. Hello, Brian. This is the Monday you've been looking for. Hello, Brian. And we've got Josh here loud and clear for alerts. Let's give Josh a round of applause. Josh absolutely killed it at San Diego Comic-Con. He had several panels that he was a part of with the Legal Geeks, including a really popular one for Jaws that made a lot of headlines. Great one with Thor as well, and an awesome Star Wars one. Josh also did me a huge solid and picked me up some G.I. Joe stuff. So thank you, Josh. Maybe I should say you're enabling me, but you know what? It was worth it. So thank you, my friend. Really proud of you. Really impressed. David is here. Hello to the CWK family. Didn't have time to write a top 5. We'll be following along the whole show. That is great, David, and it's good to see you. Oh, I'm so glad to see our friends back here with us. So on today's show, let me show you what we're going to be doing for today's show. We've got top 5 moments from the penultimate episode of Star Wars Rebel Resolve. We've got your San Diego Comic-Con Star Wars news, mostly collector-based. And, of course, your comments and questions. And I've got a couple of I've got 2 announcements at the end of the show. So 2 big announcements that I think you're really going to want to listen to for tonight. But now, let's take a look at what is brewing in the world of Star Wars this week.
And now, let's see what's brewing in the Star Wars universe this week.
All right. So San Diego Comic-Con is come and gone. We just mentioned how well things went with Josh. There's a lot of cool stuff with a lot of collectibles. Of course, there was major movie news, but it was not Star Wars related, as you all know. I'm assuming you all know. A lot of Marvel stuff, some DC, some great stuff happening. But for Star Wars, it's pretty quiet. Now, let's not be discouraged by that. D23 is around the corner. We've got Celebration next year. We've got a lot of things to look forward to. We've got Andor. We've got Light and Magic. We got the Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation Special, which I have seen and loved. And I'll talk more about that in a little while. Probably save it for another show, to be honest. But let's look at the collectibles that were announced. You've got the Darth Vader Force FX lightsaber. Now, Hasbro makes these, of course, and then you can get them at Galaxy's Edge too. They're different kinds. Different materials. They work differently, but they're both whether you get these or the Galaxy's Edge ones, they're gorgeous. Let's focus on the Hasbro ones for right now. This one has a separate kyber crystal in a chamber. Now, to be clear, this kyber crystal does not fit in there just for the look, for the collectible aesthetic. It's really nice, but a great looking lightsaber. I think it's inspired by Obi-Wan Kenobi as well. All right, so now we've got the vintage collection. This is, of course, the 3 3/4 inch line. You know this guy, right? If you have ever played Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, then you know who Cal Kestis is. But they're going to make a vintage collection figure of him, which is quite exciting. A really, really great one. Really nice to look at. Then we've got the KX security droid from Star Wars Jedi Survivor, who looks a lot like a familiar droid from Rogue One. Of course, these are the security droids, and K2SO is the most famous one, the most identified one. Josh says the Star Wars author and Hasbro panels were awesome. I'm planning to get some of the books. Yeah, they were great. There was a lot of great stuff there for for the books. There was one announcement. Crispin Bavers got a book coming out with, I believe it's 100 different Star Wars items. I think that's right. So that's great. Looking forward to talking to Kristen about that. Adam Christopher was there. Kevin Scott, author of the upcoming The Princess and the Scoundrels. Mike Siglane, who's in charge of Lucasfilm Publishing, was a part of that as well. Really cool stuff. We've got the B-1 Battle Droid from Star Wars Jedi Survivor as well. I really like this because, and you notice, I shared this on Facebook a couple of days ago, but Hasbro has moved towards staying away from plastic bubbles. And now we're just getting cardboard, and this is what the boxes look like. So expect that when you see them on shelves. But Jedi Survivor, this is a Battle Droid, a really nice looking paint job too. Amita says, my wallet says no, but nerdy me says do it. Exactly. I know. I understand, Mita, and feel your pain. Now, this one, Mita, is going to be really tempting. It's going to be tempting for a lot of you. That's Grogu, the Black Series Mandalorian. He comes with a number of accessories. And there's a number of pictures that Hasbro sent me, but I just picked a couple of them. This one comes with the prawn as well. Or Pram, I should say. Prawn is our friends. Mr. and Mrs. Daft Prawn. Then we got Miggs Mayfeld. A Black Series Miggs Mayfeld. A great looking figure. Really nice. Again, this photorealism. I'm going to go back to my screen for a real quick second. I'm sure you know, we talked about it last week, I believe, maybe 2 weeks ago, that Hasbro's going to have a new thing on their phones that's being released in the fall, where you can scan your face and order an action figure of yourself. Now, I watched a great video on Rebel Scum's YouTube channel today that I posted on my Twitter account, and it shows when you go through the process how you scan your face, you look straight, you look to the right, you look to the left, and then you pick, for Star Wars so far, what they have is a Stormtrooper body, the Mandalorian body without the armor, without the helmet, or you've got an X-Wing pilot, or I believe it's Hoth Leia. So those are the 4 so far, and they said they're going to be a lot more. Plus you got Ghostbusters, you've got Power Rangers, and of course, G.I. Joe. So as I joked about before, for me, it's not a question of am I going to do it, but how many times am I going to do it? And the initial price, I think it's $65. Now that price may change. Let me verify that really quickly, but I believe on the video that's what it said. Thinking here. Yeah, $65. Josh says that if you're on display, they look great. And then the Hasbro folks that work on the Star Wars line, they did one to sample on the panel that Josh saw what they're going to actually look like. So really exciting stuff. All right. So the reason I bring that up is because of the photorealism you see on people like this Miggs Mayfeld action figure. All right. HK87 is from The Mandalorian, a bounty hunter, I believe, in The Mandalorian, a Black Series figure of him. I don't have one picture of him without the package. Now look at this guy. Luke Skywalker, Imperial Light Cruiser. This is the epic Luke Skywalker that we saw in the end of Season 2 of The Mandalorian, complete in his full Jedi regalia, the green lightsaber, a terrific looking sculpt. I say this almost all the time, there's a cool one. As much as I try to avoid these Black Series figures, because there's just a question of spacing for me at this point, that is terrific. Ben says, hey, I know that guy. Hey, Ben, good to see you, man. I know you too. It's good to see you, and I know you're talking about Luke Skywalker, but I'm just going to pretend like you're talking about me. Vintage collection vehicle. You've got Boba Fett Starship. It comes with an exclusive Boba Fett vintage collection figure with the robe and the gaffy stick and the blaster. Really great looking figure. I think this is a pretty pricey one, but I need to put... I'm only one fellow, but I'm trying to juggle as much as I can, and I really need to put these affiliate links up, and I understand if people have already ordered them, but I will have some available for a lot of these collectibles too. So we'll look and see what we can do. Now, these have created a lot of buzz. You may remember 2 Christmases ago, they had some holiday clone troopers, which I, of course, ate up because I love Christmas and I love Star Wars. Now they are going to another holiday, Halloween. This is the clone trooper in a Halloween costume. You can see it's even got like a haunted porg on it, and it's got like a little chest where it looks like a porg ghost on there. And then you've got sort of that glow skeleton over the top, which is really fun. Then you've got a Wookiee dressed up, I assume like a werewolf, and it's got a Halloween bucket, and that's pretty fun too. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to get those or not. If it was Christmas, it would be a no-brainer for me. But this is a no-brainer. Of course, I love the retro line, and I have all of the original 6 that they came out with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, there were 7, including Boba Fett. No, there were 6. There were 6, sorry. And then now we've got the second half. I kept hoping that there would be a Ben Kenobi action figure from the retro line because I was missing the lightsaber one, his blue lightsaber. My original Obi-Wan doesn't have a lightsaber. But now I see this coming out, and you've got C-3PO, R2-D2, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Death Star Commander, which is what they were called, or Star Destroyer Commander, and then you've got the Jawa with the cloth cape, and then you've got the Tusken Raider. And that is going to be coming out. Oh, there's no pre-order up for it yet, but when there is, you can be sure I'm going to snag it. So that's what we have for you. That's the merchandise showcase. It's pretty ironic, too, because a couple of weeks ago, and I don't regret this, by the way, I have a local... if you watched my reel over the weekend, Mason and I went to the Peoria Civic Center Toy and Comic Book Show, and they had a lot of great old-school toys and comics and stuff like that. But there is a guy that's local to our area. He owns a toy store called When Toys Were Toys, and he's a great guy. His name's Brian. And I think I'm going to do a Facebook Live show from his toy store at some point. But he had an Obi-Wan Kenobi from 1978 with the lightsaber, with the including the tip. So I bought it. I mean, I already had Obi-Wan, but I didn't have the lightsaber with the actual tip too, and those are pretty rare. And this is in perfect shape. I got it for an amazing price. So kudos to Brian. If you're in the Peoria area, I'm sure to go to When Toys Were Toys and let him know that I sent you. Great stuff. Again, look at that Obi-Wan. I was really happy with it. I haven't even taken him out of here yet because he's not really in carbonite, but he's cool. And Daniel, I'm sure he'll appreciate this being the Obi-Wan Kenobi guy. By the way, Daniel put in the CWK Cafe, he put an image of himself over the weekend doing his thing, dressed in his Obi-Wan Kenobi gear. He looked terrific. Terrific. Josh says, rock on, and Ben says, wow, most impressive. Yeah, thanks. I'm really excited about it. Speaking of excited about it, time for the transition. Let's do it. Let's talk about your top 5 moments from Star Wars Rebels Rebel Resolve. Again, penultimate, second to last episode in Season 1. Rebel Resolve, a great episode. It was easy to find a top 5 for this. Well, it wasn't easy, but there were so many great things to choose from. I really enjoyed watching this episode again, and I'm looking forward to all of your lists. Number 5 for me, at the beginning of this, they sneak into the ATDP all-terrain, I think it's defensive pod. I believe that's what these things are called. They're not ATSTs. They're like the version before the ATST. I think that's what Filoni said. And there's a point where Ezra climbs inside and he says, oh, how's it going? Or something like that. And it was great. Daniel says, thank you, Dan. We had a great time, very hot here in Vermont, but fun. Hey, you know what? I thought it looked awesome. Really impressive. Okay, VT is Vermont, right? I'm suddenly realizing, gosh, did I mess that one up? So the ATDP attack I thought was a great way to start the show because they're trying to find Kanan, but all the communication lines are down. Mary's number 5. Zeb causing the droid to faint. Ezra says to Zeb, you're intimidating. I like that too. Minta's number 5 is hijacking the walker, similar to mine. Ben's number 5, Kanan's bravery. We see a whole new side of him in these last 2 episodes. The dad who would do everything to protect his family. That's exactly right. Brian's number 5, the Imperial droid swap. The Imperial droid faints when he sees Zeb. I do like Chop's black and red paint job. I hope we get a figure of that. Jason's number 5. Steven Stanton's voice work for Admiral Tarkin. Such a great job of making him sound evil. Yes, that is for sure. And Henrik's number 5. The music throughout the episode, especially during the opening scene with the team sealing the ATDP walker. I agree, because it's the same music from The Empire Strikes Back and with the walker attack, which is terrific. Absolutely terrific. And we've got more people on the show tonight. If you're watching right now, please share that you're listening or tweet it out so other people can join us and share their top 5s or just enjoy the Star Wars conversation with this amazing Star Wars family that we have. Okay, I think I got everybody. No, there's still a few of you that haven't weighed in yet, which is fine. I'm going to move on to number 4. But if you have your 5 and you're typing it out now, I will gladly read it for you when it pops up on my feed. So let's go to number 4. Number 4 is, this is the first, and we've seen Fulcrum before. Well, we haven't seen, we've heard Fulcrum. We know Fulcrum exists. But this is the closest we ever got to starting to see who Fulcrum actually is. I remember the first time I watched this episode when it originally aired, being very excited and intrigued. Of course, the voice is muffled. There are all kinds of theories and questions that people had about who Fulcrum might actually be. But this was exciting because you just didn't know. You just didn't know who it was. So I really liked the thrill of that. Ross's 5 is Vizago's laughing reaction hearing that Kanan is a Jedi before Ezra proves otherwise about the pair of them. Yeah, that was good. I like that too, because it was a big risk for Ezra to go out on a limb and do that. So again, my number 4 is the mystery of Fulcrum and how we start to see a little bit more of the pieces of that puzzle. Minta's 4 is Chopper versus Imperial Droid. I think we all know who the superior droid is. Chopper is a jealous type, as we saw when he pushed the intruder off the ship, and I'm definitely going to talk about that later, Minta. You can count on that. Number 4, quote, were they orders or more like her opinion, end quote. Sabine in response to Zeb claiming they are disobeying Hera's orders by searching for Kanan, which is a great line. A lot of great lines from Ezra in this one. Jason's number 4. The Ghost Crew's resolve to rescue Kanan, even defying Hera's orders not to do so, definitely shows the love they have for each other. Henrik's number 4 is Chopper's voices and sound effects. That's right. All thanks to Dave Filoni. Pardon me, Mary's number 4. Chopper going undercover and then pushing the other droid off the ship. The looks at Ezra and Zeb give one another, and Zeb's reaction that, of course, Chop pushed him out. Man, Chopper is just... I'm going to wait. I'll save my reaction, but Mary, I understand what you're saying. Ben's number 4, Chopper. This is his episode. He gets to take a mission behind enemy lines. He has an emotional reaction to Kanan missing. He allows Ezra to comfort him. Lots of good Chopper moments. And I like how you said that, Ben. This is very much his episode. He really is a showcase for this one. Brian's number 4, Chopper's escape from the Imperial ship. Jumping out an airlock was a genius plan. The first time we saw it, we were worried until we remembered that Chopper is a droid and doesn't need to breathe. Yep, I agree. And even now, I still like, ooh, because he's outside, and you're like, oh no, what if he just floats off or runs out of gas? Or you think these things, but you're right. Chopper knew what he was doing. He was very brave. Very, very brave. And again, I think it'll come up later. So number 3 for me is Ezra, is focused on Ezra. I think this, not only is this a Chopper episode, but certainly an Ezra one too. This was a big one because, as we see at the end of the first Harry Potter book / movie, it takes great bravery to stand up to an enemy, but it takes even more courage to stand up to your friends. And that's what Ezra does here. He stands up for Kanan. And Hera wants to, but she's got to think of the bigger picture. Ezra's not doing that. He only cares about focusing on Kanan. So that's why I put for number 3, Ezra's bravery. Very inspiring stuff. Very inspiring stuff. So let me know your number 3 right now while you were typing and adding your excellent, intelligent analysis of Star Wars Rebels. Again, that's why I love doing Facebook Live, because yes, I can read your emails on the show, and we certainly have plenty of times. But Facebook Live is where you can share your thoughts live with me, and I can give you instant feedback, and you can talk to each other. That, to me, makes this show so unique and so special. And it's because of all of you. Very, very grateful for that. COVID had a lot of challenges, but one of the things that I think that came out of COVID that's been such a blessing in my life is doing CWK Live and getting to know all of you. So I thank you for that. Looks like we got some number 3s here. Ross for number 3, Chopper's rocket boosting, providing his own soundtrack through space to escape and join back up with the ghosts. Excellent. I like the whole soundtrack thing. That's funny. Jason's number 3 is Undercover Chopper. Love it. And Henrik's number 3, Chopper pushing the Imperial droid out of the ghost. Yeah, I had a feeling so far. I think that's come up more than anything else because it's quite memorable. Minta's number 3 is Fulcrum's debut, similar to my number 4. Seeing the mysterious figure gives us more of an idea of what Fulcrum looks like, but the voice is muffled, so we can't figure out who it is. I know. Gee, I wonder who it's going to be. I remember, again, fans were like recording that audio and trying to like slow it down or speed it up and trying to figure out if they could see who it was, and I don't think it worked. Mary's number 3, Kanan's sacrifice and strength during the interrogation. His responses to Governor Tarkin, as he calls him, and the Grand Inquisitor. Ben's number 3, Harris discovering Ezra's deception. Like the parent who discovers the kid doing something wrong, but I like that he takes the risks because he thinks Hera really wants to, but he can't disobey orders. He's doing it for her sake. That's right. That's right. And you could see the look on her face and how disappointed she was, and you just kind of feel like, oh no, because Ezra had good intentions and a really good heart. But I mean, no one wins in these situations. But hopefully, Kanan ultimately will. All right, let's move on to number 2. Number 2 for this episode of Rebel Resolve is Kanan. Kanan Jarrus. You know we weren't going to go through a top 5 without me mentioning Kanan. Kanan is my favorite. Oh, Brian's number 3. Ezra's deal with the Vizago, where he reveals that he and Kanan are Jedi. It was a great moment of narrative, of story, of development of character, I think. But number 2 for me is Kanan Jarrus and what he shows. He shows resolve. He doesn't know anything, so there's nothing he can share, but he's the ultimate bait, and he distracts, of course, his friends, or he distracts the Imperials so that his friends can be safe. That's true. But what he also does is he defiantly refuses to give in anything to show weakness. Yes, there's certainly a lot of physical pain, and Tarkin actually is the one who stops it. He says, I need this Jedi alive. But his bravery, his resolve is just so admirable. He's just another level of Jedi. Number 2 for Minta is Ezra and the crew going against orders, regardless of the danger and the harsh scolding from Hera. They will do anything to rescue Kanan. That's right. Number 2 for Ben, Hera's struggles. She is struggling with being part of a big rebellion and the sacrifices it means for her family. It's a hard lesson for her. Yes, it is. It really is. Number 2 for Ross, multiple references to Mustafar where Jedi go to die. I think you hear it twice, unless I'm missing one that I'm thinking of. But every time we hear it, because we didn't know that Vader was going to show up, or if he was, but when you hear Mustafar, that's what you think, and you worry a lot. Because as hard as Tarkin is and the Inquisitor, Darth Vader is another level of bad, as we know, as longtime Star Wars fans. So when you hear that and the way that the episode ends, when it just kind of fades and there's no music, Rebels did that a couple times. Whenever they did, it was for narrative power in gravitas, and hearing Mustafar is a good one. So thank you for that. Mary's number 2 is Hera and Fulcrum's conversation. We see Hera wants to follow orders, but she is so conflicted about it. Yes. And I think it's important, too, that she struggles with it. She does it, but she struggles with it. You know, you got sometimes the grown-up has to make the hard choices. And fortunately, she was able to change her mind and help her friend. But it's not easy. It's not easy. Nothing in this war is easy. Jason's number 2 is Chopper in space. That's right. Pretty cool. I watched that scene and I thought, I wonder if R2 could do that. Sure he could. And then Henrik's number 2 is a reference to Mustafar, Revenge of the Sith vibes. Absolutely. 100%. Brian's number 2 is Chopper is thrust into being the hero. He grumbles and groans with each action until Ezra asks him to step up for Kanan. Yes. And that's what does it. And I kind of like how there's that scene where Chopper seems frustrated and Ezra kind of comforts him like a little puppy or like a little child or something like that. There's a lot of heart there. And Chopper does his best to really go out of the way to not show that. I think this episode makes that quite clear. But there can only be one of our top choices. So number 1 for me from this episode is Chopper, of course. But I'm not going to talk about, I will talk about it, but for me, I'm focusing on the escape. And when you see him launch into the Ghost in that sequence where he has to jet up to the Ghost and he has to go inside their little hangar area, and then he uses his little arm as a hook to try to grab that ladder. Every time I watch it, even though I know what's going to happen, you can't help but grit your teeth and say, oh, come on, Chopper, you're so close, because you really want him to get inside. So Chopper's escape is number 1. Honorable mention is when he knocks that other droid out. In fact, this is the episode I famously said, well, I don't know if it's famous, but throughout season 1, whenever we did Rebels reactions and we looked at these episodes, I kept saying, Chopper's fine, but I'm not getting a Chopper tattoo. And I just kept saying, yeah. But this episode made me fall in love with Chopper, and it never went away. Never went away, not even close. because of his bravery and because of this escape. And when he knocks the other droid out, who's so happy, by the way, that he's helping them out, I really think it would have been a fun little member of the team. Of course, Chopper wasn't having that. Talk about hashtag jealousy. Chopper knocks that other droid out of the Ghost, and I am grateful that they show that it lands and it wakes up and it kind of shakes its head and is surrounded by loath cats, but it seems to be fine. I think we needed that. I think kids definitely needed that too. So it makes it a little bit better. But the fact that Chopper didn't know that was going to happen, he's like, no, I'm not sharing my family with you. Boom. That's definitely an honorable mention for me. Okay. Number 1 for Mita is Kanan's resolve. You can see that he's everything not to give into the pain and reveal Rebel secrets, but he stands his ground. Let's not forget, though, that Mustafar Easter egg, right? Ben's number 1, Chopper knows the courier droid, knocks the courier droid out of the Ghost. I don't think I laughed harder this whole season, and such a heavy episode was the right levity at the right time. Exactly. Couldn't have said any better myself, Ben. 100%. Number 1 for Ross, Imperial disguising Chopper, Imperial disguise Chopper, pushing the real courier droid out of the Ghost, perfectly cranky Chopper, not just not having it with another droid. Nope, not at all. So my honorable mention is your number 1. Very cool. Number 1 for Mary. The last scene where Hera explains that Kanan has referred to Mustafar as a place where Jedi go to die. That statement is much heavier after seeing the Kenobi series where Ben is down in the level where the Jedis are on display. Oh, I like that. Very insightful, Mary. Very cool. Jason's number 1, Chopper's refusal to give up looking for Kanan's whereabouts, put him in danger to do so. Very cool. Yeah, he totally refuses. He's Chopper's like one of the most stubborn characters in all Star Wars, but it's for a good reason. Next number 1 is Ezra's lightsaber hilt. Oh, cool. I love that as well. Josh says, hopefully the droid appears in a future series. Yeah, I wonder if we'll ever see that droid again. I don't even know that droid's call number, so I'm sure it's out there somewhere for sure. All right, very good. Well, the end of this week, Light and Magic is coming out, and I definitely want to talk about that. And we'll probably go through every individual episode of Light and Magic and do a top 5. So but let's get to next week first. Let me explain next week first. We're going to talk about the finale of Star Wars Rebels Season 1, Fire Across the Galaxy. So be sure to watch the season finale of Fire Across the Galaxy. There are plenty of choices for you to choose from next week's episode for sure. And then after we finish Star Wars Rebels Season 1, we're going to take a really deep dive over about 6 weeks of Light and Magic, which, again, I've seen the entire thing is tremendous. Brian's number 1, Ezra's all chips are in plan to save Kanan. He goes behind Hera's back to find information where Kanan is being held. Ezra doesn't back down when Hera yells at him. He doubles down and says, we have to save our own family. That's right. That's right. So very good. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's Star Wars Rebels review. So now we're going to jump into Ask Dan Z and those 2 announcements I'm going to share with you. All right. Ask Dan Z. So this is where you can ask me anything about Star Wars, about Coffee with Kenobi, about what's going on in pop culture. I'll be happy to answer what I can. But I've got 2 announcements for you. 1, this week, I got to interview, what's the Galaxy's Edge shirt I have on, Brian? It is right there. It is when I went to the opening in Disneyland, and this was one of the first pieces of merchandise you could get. Jason says, Visako's biceps, the dude is ripped. Right? I know, I was noticing that too. Ben says, did you see that clip of the upcoming Lego special? Did it look like the Halcyon? Ben, not only did it look like the Halcyon, it is the Halcyon, and I have seen the Lego special, and it's great. It is great. We're going to talk about that one too. Great, great fun. You're going to love it. You are going to love it. And the fact that it's got the Halcyon, oh man, even better. I don't want to spoil anything, but super fun. Okay, so 2 announcements. So Light and Magic comes out next week. When I first started the show, I had a list of people I want to interview, but some I didn't even put down because I just didn't think it was possible. Well, it is possible. I got to talk to Phil Tippett, Dennis Murin, and Lawrence Kasdan. That's right. So this week on Coffee with Kenobi, you're going to hear all 3 of those guys, plus some more surprise guests on Coffee with Kenobi. That's right. I got to talk to Lawrence Kasdan, Dennis Murin, and Phil Tippett. So it was a press conference, but I was allowed to ask a certain amount of questions, and well, we all were, because there's only so much time, right? There's only so much time. It was so cool. Can't wait to show you. So that is one of the biggest announcements for sure. David, do I have a favorite season, Rebels, or is it like asking what key do you love the most? I don't know, man. Maybe season 2, maybe season 4. That's a good question. I got to think about that. Josh says, dude, awesome interview guest. Thank you. I'm really, really excited about it. Ross says, jackpot. Thanks, man. I'm excited. Jason says, as a follow-up to last week, Henrik has decided on the color of his lightsaber to make a Galaxy's Edge blue like Ezra's. You know what? I had a feeling that is a good one. The blue is the one I picked. That's my choice. Mary and Minta both say most impressed. Well, thank you, friends. I'm looking forward to sharing that with you for sure. The other big piece of news is that, let's see, let me get my calendar here. Pretty sure I've got it correct. So next Monday is August 1st. We're going to do the Rebels finale. Then August 8th, I'm still doing a live show. I'm kind of thinking about the time. So the time on August 8th may vary a little bit. But I, alongside our good friend Ross Halliburton and LJ Souter, I believe, are going to be at Wrigley Field in Chicago, Illinois for Star Wars Day. So Star Wars Day Wrigley Field. So that's where we're going to do the live show. Mason's going to be with me. So I'm going to take you around Wrigley Field, show you the Star Wars things they've got, because Major League Baseball has a lot of the really cool things going on where they do Star Wars promotions. And of course, a lot of the parks or a lot of the clubs, baseball clubs, are doing Star Wars night. So I'm going to be with you live at Wrigley Field on Monday, August 8th. We're a couple of weeks away. So next week is going to be the normal time as usual. But then we're going to do the Facebook Live show from Wrigley Field for Star Wars Day. I'm really excited about it. Mason's excited about it. I haven't told Ross yet, although I'm sure Ross is probably thinking that too. So that is going to be great, great fun. I'm really looking forward to that. Also looking forward to chatting with you next Monday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be a blast to do so. Ben says, wow, I should have planned my Chicago trip for that game. Not in May. Oh, man, that would have been awesome. Josh says, those games are fun. Sounds awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I love baseball. And, of course, I love Star Wars, and it'd be great to see Ross and LJ. Mary says, what a fun show. It'd be great to see LJ, Ross, and Mason in action. YouTube. Yeah, well, thank you, Mary. I'm excited for it. Meantime, may the force with you. Look, thanks for bringing everybody back. It was great to have all of you here. Next Monday, again, your homework. Bring a friend. Let them know about what's going on with Coffee with Kenobi and Facebook Live. If you get a chance, check out Coffee with Kenobi's Instagram page and check out The Reel where Mason and I went to see that toy show. It was a lot of fun. Brian says, great show as always. Great way to start the week. Thanks, Brian. Really appreciate the support. I hope you have a great week as well. And Jamie, we didn't forget about you. We will put in the CWK Cafe. We will put a place for you to share your top 5 moments. And all of you, whether you're listening live or you catch it later on Facebook or Instagram or on YouTube, if you want to share your top 5s, there's a place in the CW Cafe for you to do that. Go to coffeewithkenobi.com/community. That is our Facebook group where we talk Star Wars, family-friendly, spoiler-free, and have lots of fun. Jason, I hope you have a great week too. Ross, thanks again for being back, my friend. Good to see you. Have a fantastic week as well. Thanks again, everybody. This is the live podcast. I still can't believe how long have I been doing Coffee with Kenobi, and I can't think of a good tagline for this one. I'm just going to say, see you next time. This is the live podcast you're looking for. We're just going to stick with that. Have a great week, everybody. You too, Ben. Take care, everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here. Move along. Move along.